Lots of fallouts of the COVID-19 on various sectors, one of them being the restaurant industry. And we're delving deep into what could be the ramifications in terms of the potential job losses, operational shutdowns, as well as what plans are in place. Joining in right now in our studios is Anurag Katriar, who is the President, National Restaurant Research Association, or the NRAI. Thank you so much for taking time out, Anurag.
Thank you for having me.
There was that directive that has been sent out by the NRAI advising the shutdown and dine-in experiences closed down. So far, how many have volunteered to shut shop?
I think in the major cities, most of the people have voluntary shutdown. Some cities have now started announcing the mandatory shutdown, like Delhi did that yesterday, the CM announced there.
And they've also restricted deliveries now, isn't it?
No, deliveries are so far not restricted. In fact, the Prime Minister in the address used the word that people who are doing home deliveries are doing an essential service.
So are there any, are there any kind of apprehensions around that as well? Do you see deliveries also being addressed because there's still some contact, or there must be people that are coming to work, or is it being sort of kept on the table also to save jobs at the moment?
No, more than saving jobs. I think the bigger worry is, yes, we are doing a limited set of deliveries in various cities, but there is no ban on that. In fact, Delhi also yesterday exempted the deliveries from the lockdown. See, it is also an essential services for lots of people. The migrant workers in the city who are probably staying alone, young students in the hostels, they also need to eat.
Of course.
Where do they go? Restaurants are shut, at least let's get the food. Yes, do we run the risk? Yes, we do run the risk. Are we aware of this? Yes, we are aware of this. But this is like finding a middle ground in a situation like this.
No, it's so interesting you said that, because I think we also forget how this is impacting several different pockets of the economy. On the financial side, though, or on the revenue impact, I mean, we were speaking to AD Singh just a couple of days ago, and he'd already highlighted that this may see a huge impact. And that several, restaurants, businesses would find this unsustainable. We're only just at the beginning of this, Anurag.
See, if you ask me, and I don't want to be the doomsday predictor, but I think we're looking at an existential crisis right now. It is that bad. This industry typically has very high proportion of fixed operating expenses. And when revenue goes down, the death is even more for us. Secondly, this is also an industry which falls under the category of what I call discretionary expense. They are the first to go down and last to get up. So that incubation period is also high. So to me, the biggest specter, of course, the industry is in doldrums, without a doubt. Yes, that's why when we were taking the decision of, telling our members to shut down voluntary, we were thinking of what are we doing? We are already in a very bad shape. Should we do this? But it was a matter of public safety, public health, our health of our own employees, health of our guests. So we decided to go ahead with that. It is massive. We don't even know the impact of it in the longer run. But there are two things I like to put forward here. One is what is going to actually happen with the restaurant business per se. And we may be needing some kind of a stimulus package at some point of time. But in the immediate term, our bigger issue is the cash flows. Because this industry doesn't sit on very massive amount of cash. And with the limited cash flow we have to first look at making sure that the employees get paid, even if it is in a limited way. So, to protect those cash flows is very important for various stakeholders in the whole ecosystem to come together.
And that's exactly what I was going to ask you next. Have there been any high-level meetings? Has there been any interaction with the government, heads, ministers, state ministers, anything that will give you an indication of how seriously they're looking at this, any relief that's to come?
So we definitely had, I personally was part of a meeting with the authorities, with the state excise department in Maharashtra, and they were very supportive, I must say. What are we seeking? We are saying right now, there are 2-3 things. You have put together, they had announced a 15% hike in the license fee. I said, please roll it back. That's definitely not happening. We were supposed to renew our licenses by the 31st of March. We need a moratorium of at least 3 more months. We can't pay right now. If I pay you as a government, I will not be paying my staff. And then we don't know what are the repercussions of that. And then, of course, we wanted, time till the 30th June to renew our license. And the next year license fee, because, this industry is not going to wake up one fine day and say, now everything is back to order.
Yeah.
We wanted the license fee for next year to be prorated for those 9 months of the year. These are small things. But if I take you through all the major stakeholders in this, there is also employees. Employees are a huge cost, and that is where the government can come in handy through their ESIC or any other scheme where they can support some payments to these employees who are especially in that bargainable category. That will be a great help. We want complete deferment of all statutory payments right now. This is to protect our cash flows. Yeah. If today I have to pay my GST, my TDS, and my excise fees and VAT, I wouldn't have money even to breathe. So I'd rather pay this money to my employees, and we expect the government not to penalize us and give us the time. Similarly with the landlords, I understand that's another issue. In our industry, that's a very huge thing. We require some support, and at the same time, this is also time when government can bring in the input tax credit in our business, which was taken away about a year and a half ago. 18% on our rent is the GST. Now that is taking up my fixed expenses by 18%. Give us input tax credit, at least I can defray that. Yeah. This is high time that the government brings in this. This was available when the GST started. It was taken away through a decision by the GST Council. If this does not happen today, then I think we are looking at a very, very bad situation. Very, very bad situation. There are contractual employees, there are small suppliers. How do we pay them? How do we pay them? This has to come from the bigger stakeholders, which is the government, which is the big landlords, the ESIC, and everybody else.
But Anurag, the point here is that it's not just your industry, but industries across the economy which are getting impacted, whether they're essential, non-essential. And like you're saying, while your industry definitely is a big job provider, there are a lot of operating expenses, like you rightly mentioned, be it rentals, suppliers, what have you. I'm sure at your end as well, you are putting in place some checks and balances, some recovery measures in order to be able to mitigate the hit, which in any case, you're going to have to take up until when the government or some of the large players actually step in, some of the realty majors, because rentals clearly are the highest component for any restaurant.
Yeah, we are taking lots of measures. In fact, right now, if you look at, 60% of my revenue goes into these fixed operating expenses. So there is very little leeway I have by way of saving. Yes, there has been salary cuts across the board. People have been asked to take voluntary pay cuts so that we can mitigate some of it. Whatever cash flows we have, it is available to the business. No promoter is taking away that cash right now out of the business. It is there for the business. It's about prioritizing what is right and what is not right now. In terms of priority, I think the small-time suppliers and my employees are at the topmost of the pyramid, and everything else, which includes statutory payments and all, comes at the bottom.
Sure. But Anurag, the only thing is that online delivery, like the Prime Minister as well mentioned in his address, that's not stopped. And I'm guessing at a time like this when, there's social distancing, people would order a lot more food as opposed to, cooking at home or something. So don't you think that model is going to see a pickup, and maybe you can try and juggle around the staff and sort of that acts as a buffer? Don't you think it can compensate for a fully operational restaurant, or is that a tall task and order?
No. It's not tall a task. We thought as much. See, there are two aspects to it. By the way, the delivery business is also down 25-30% on an average in last 1 week, 10 days. So it's not seeing an upswing in consumption over there as well. I think people are generally scared. Secondly, while it's not very difficult to leverage ourselves in doing deliveries, please understand we are still running the same health risk, maybe with lesser number of people. Instead of 60 people working in a full-fledged restaurant, you may have 6 people coming in for delivery business, but they are still at risk. Now, that's a calculated risk we need to take, and we are taking that, but it is not adding to anything. If you are running a business of delivery and which is also on a downswing, Your expenses are still in place. This is not defraying much. This is not doing much to us.
Anurag, as you put it, it's an existential crisis right now, and that's, I think, the only way to describe things. Thank you, though, for dropping by and giving us a view as to what the impact is on the restaurant industry.